We all grew up with the story of Snow White, the poisoned apple, the jealous queen, the 7 dwarfs. Hidden in the 16th century Europe lies the story of Margaretha von Waldeck, a young noblewoman whose life many believe inspired one of the darkest fairy tales ever written. In the very first version written by the brothers Grimm, it wasn't a wicked stepmother who wanted Snow White dead. It was her own mother. In the 16th century Germany, born into one of the wealthiest noble families of the region, was a girl named Margaretha von Waldeck. From the start, she was striking. Porcelain skin, dark hair, and eyes that seemed to see right through you. But life was far from easy. Her mother died when she was very young, and her father remarried a proud, strict woman who never warmed to her stepdaughter. Margaretha grew up in a land of small mines, where children worked tirelessly in harsh conditions. Many historians believe these child laborers were the inspiration for the 7 dwarfs in the story of Snow White. As she blossomed into a young woman, her beauty drew attention across Europe. She was sent to the court of the Habsburgs in Brussels, where whispers of admiration, even from a prince, followed her everywhere. Even some historians whisper that young Margaretha caught the eye of Prince Philip, who would later become King Philip II of Spain. But politics and envy shadowed her every move. Then, at just 21 years old, Margaretha's life ended suddenly and mysteriously. Some say she was poisoned. With her passing, the world lost a beauty and radiance that could never be replaced. The reasons lost to history, whether jealousy, ambition, or court intrigue. Centuries later, the brothers Grimm would pen a story that echoes her own dark tale, Snow White. Snow White was a beautiful princess with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. Her mother was jealous of her beauty. This queen owned a magic mirror, and every day she asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" When the mirror finally declared Snow White the fairest, the queen's envy turned deadly. She ordered a hunter to take Snow White into the forest and end her life, demanding proof in the form of her heart. The hunter, moved by pity, let Snow White go and brought the queen the heart of a wild animal instead. Alone in the forest, Snow White discovered a cottage belonging to 7 dwarfs. They allowed her to stay in exchange for keeping their house tidy and cooking for them. The queen's mirror spoke once more. Snow White was still the fairest in the land. Determined to take her life, she disguised herself and set out to the forest. Her first plan was simple but cruel, a tightly laced bodice that would suffocate Snow White. The princess fainted, but the 7 dwarfs arrived in time and freed her. Not deterred, the queen tried again, this time with a poisoned comb. She placed it in Snow White's hair, hoping to end her life. Again, the dwarfs saved her. Finally, the queen prepared her most sinister scheme, a poisoned apple, shiny and red. Snow White, unsuspecting, took a bite and fell into a death-like sleep. The dwarfs, unable to bury such beauty, placed her in a glass coffin, watching over her with sorrow. Snow White lay in a glass coffin, her beauty untouched by death. Days turned into weeks, and the story of the mysterious princess spread. Then, one day, a prince came across the coffin. Struck by her beauty, he insisted on taking the coffin with him. As the bearers moved the coffin, one stumbled, and the poisoned apple dislodged from Snow White's throat. She awoke, gasping for breath, alive once again. The prince was overjoyed. Soon after, he and Snow White married, a celebration of life restored. The wicked queen, unaware she had been bested, was invited to the wedding. There, she finally faced her punishment, forced to wear red-hot iron shoes and dance until she died. A grim justice for her envy and cruelty. And so, Snow White's story ended with life triumphant over jealousy and malice. Later, the brothers Grimm softened the tale by turning Snow White's mother into a stepmother, because the idea of a mother plotting her own daughter's death was simply too dark.